Welcome to Beyond Belief, where we cover all of the events involving Toronto's favorite Suns, the Toronto Maple Leafs, with your hosts, Adam and Donnie.
Welcome to another episode of Beyond Belief, a Toronto Maple Leafs podcast and vidcast. As always, I'm your host, Adam, and with me is my co-host, the Leaf enthusiast, Donnie. Donnie, how's it going?
What's up, Leafs Nation? It's the podcast that is here to soothe the pain of being a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, as best we can.
Yes, it's a therapy session, folks. It's very rare that the host need just as much therapy as the 4 or 5 people listening or watching, but this is the state of affairs that Leaf Nation is in. We can officially say it now, Donnie. For the first time in 9 years, the Toronto Maple Leafs have officially been eliminated from participation in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yes.
I did not have that on my bingo card when training camp started in September. I knew that, realistically, winning the cup probably wasn't on the cards, but I thought making the playoffs was going to be there. So I knew disappointment was coming, but I expected it, May? Thereabouts?
I definitely didn't expect the team to be this bad.
I didn't expect it at the beginning of April. But this is the situation that we're in. A lot of things to talk about. We're going to talk about some games, go over them in general, because, let's be honest, the outcomes of the game don't matter anymore. But we'll talk about some of the games. Then we'll talk about the trade deadline and the fleecing the Leafs took in that occurrence. And then we'll talk about a firing that occurred, which I'm very happy about. But we'll talk about that. So, Donnie, take it away.
Let's start on March the 10th, where the Leafs played the Canadiens and lost 3-1.
Here's what I'll say about that game, about the memories I have of that game. Once again, Joseph Wall was in net, correct?
Yes. Excuse me. Yes. Wall. 938 save percentage that night.
And over 30 shots, correct? Probably?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, 32 shots.
And the Leafs probably had about half of that number, right?
The Leafs had 18 shots.
All right, so roughly about half. So again,
that's going to be a recurring theme. The Leafs getting outshot by a lot.
Joseph Wall in a game in Montreal is hung out to dry. Donnie, I don't understand. Now look, at this point there is no sugarcoating it. The construction of this team was not very good, clearly. But you're playing your most recognizable rival, and you can't get emotionally fired up for that game. There is something wrong with you. To let your goalie, like, if it wasn't for Joseph Wall and you said a 934 save percentage,
938, yes,
or 930, even better. If it wasn't for Joseph Wall, you know what the score would have been in that game? Try 5, 6, 7-1.
Yeah. And the Leafs, their lone goal came, William Nylander scored with an assist from Easton Cowan, but it was 2 quick goals by the Canadiens in the first period, and the Leafs looked deflated. They were almost beaten in the first period.
Yeah, and Easton Cowan made the comment, well, after they scored the first goal, we got deflated. And I like Easton Cowan. I think he's having a breakout. Good for him. He's having a good season. This is a building block for next season and beyond. But He said something along the lines of, well, we got deflated after the first goal. After the first goal. It's one goal.
Yeah.
How can you get deflated? What kind of deficiencies do you guys have emotionally as a team if one goal deflates you? Hello? You have a whole game to recoup that one goal. If you try, you know what it requires to recoup one goal? You know what it requires? Effort, first and foremost. Effort. There is none. There was none in this game.
Yeah, that's what we have been seeing since the Olympic break is they had those 3 losses and they seemed to go into a tailspin. And yes, they've won a couple of games. They've had a couple of good efforts. But overall, this team seems beaten almost before they go out on the ice.
Yeah. So that's my takeaway was from that game, a lack of effort. And Joseph Wall, again, cosplaying as Tom Hanks in Castaway. Because he's by himself on an island.
I believe this game, though, was also the debut of Bo Grew.
Yes. I like Bo Grew. Can we talk about Bo Grew?
He's really put in the effort to try to earn a spot on this roster.
To me, no matter what happens in the offseason, Bo Grew should be our fourth-line center. Without question. I don't need to see, and thankfully, he's no longer under contract at the end of the season. I don't need to see Calle Jarnkrok anymore. I don't want to see Calle Jarnkrok anymore. It makes me sick to see Calle Jarnkrok, to be honest. I know what he offers. He offers 5 goals. I've never seen a guy, Donnie, that moves around. It's like he gets in the zone, and he's always there. He's always moving, but he's doing nothing at the same time. How can you move that quickly and do nothing at the same time? Can you make that make sense?
Right.
I don't want to see him bring up somebody from the Mar. We've got nothing to lose. Why do we only have 2 Marlies players up here? What is the reason? And
well,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Look, Jacob Quillen, young guy. To me, from based on the 1 assist that he has in 17 games, I don't think he's either A, ready for the NHL, or B, ever going to be ready for the NHL. Try somebody else from the Marlies. Mm-hmm. You've got 23 guys down there. You know what? We've got to fill a roster next year, right? And there may not be a lot of high-end free agents available. We don't know.
And we don't have a lot of picks, and I think the Marlies were underutilized this year.
We're going to have to find out what we have down there because we might need to bring a bunch of them up next year. But how can you find out when there's only 2 of them playing in the NHL? And Bo Grew, look, what's he got? We're going to talk about some of his goals, but he's got like 4 goals in 9 or 10 games or whatever, something along those lines. The guy forechecks. The guy is, he comes back and helps defensively. Mm-hmm. He's sound at both ends of the ice, and he's got one hell of a shot.
Yes.
So no matter what happens next year, he better be on our 4th line.
Yeah.
He's earned it.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the big conversation around this team is that who's going to be here, who's going to get traded. And I definitely think that Bo Grew is somebody who's going to earn a spot on this team next year.
I think he already has, if you ask me.
Now we're going to jump to an infamous game in Maple Leafs history. March the 12th was a 6-4 victory. But in the process, Austin Matthews was injured by Radko Gudas on a obviously dirty play.
Okay. I'm not even going to talk about the game because the actual score of the game is inconsequential. Okay, wait a minute. I will say this. Bo Grew got his first goal against his former team that cut him. I like that. That was good. I really like that. Donnie, this was the first game in 32 years as a fan that I did not watch live. Because I was at a karate class that was celebrating the people that have been there for 15 years plus.
Congratulations.
I myself
I saw
have
those
been,
pictures.
Yeah, I have been there myself for 32 years. My Leaf fandom and my karate journey started roughly at the same time. When I was a kid back then, I had hopes for three things. I had hoped that because I had only seen one playoff disappointment at that point in my young life. So I was very optimistic that within the next couple of years, my 9-year-old self told myself, the Leafs are going to win the cup. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be, in the next few years, we're good.
The hope of a child.
And the other thing I was happy about was I was in karate, and I thought, when I grow up, I'm either going to be one of three things. Batman was my first choice. The Green Ranger was my second choice, mainly because he got to kiss the Pink Ranger, who was on the Multiverse Wives list. And the third choice, if all else failed, I was going to be a Ninja Turtle. Guess what? None of those things have happened.
All of those things might happen before the Leafs actually win a cup.
What, say that again?
I said all of those things might actually happen before.
I might actually be Batman before the Leafs win. I'll be the retired one that goes on a killing spree and tries to kill Superman. And then somebody else, Martha, and everything's okay again. Anyway. But yeah,
I will say on this night, we did have some balanced scoring. Nyes, Michelli, Tavares, Nylander, Matthews, and Bo Grew all had goals.
And then Matthews got kneed by Radko Gudas, the dumbass, and was subsequently injured and needed surgery and has been shut down for the remainder of this pointless season. So I didn't watch the game, but I came home and watched Donnie, the quote-unquote highlights. You know what the most alarming thing was, Donnie?
Well, I think a lot of people said the fact that none of the Leafs came to Austin Matthews' defense.
There were four other guys on the ice. I believe those four individuals were Morgan Riley, Easton Cowan, William Nylander, and was it Max Domi, I believe?
I'm pretty sure that because Max Domi's the one that the other night when they played him again on the 30th, he's the one who took issue.
Yeah. So
we'll talk about that in a minute.
All four of those guys saw what happened and did nothing. Absolutely nothing to defend their captain. Now, I'm not going to advocate. Well, maybe I am going to advocate for some violence. In that instance, one of you, all four of you actually, if it would have been me, because at that point I would have been living in mob mentality. Thank God I didn't see it live, because you know the curse words that would have came out of my mouth, generated towards the TV, what they would have been. But I digress. One or four of you. See, remember that time? What was it, last year, when Ridley Gregg from Ottawa took a slap shot in our net at the end of the game, and Morgan Riley got so offended that he decided to cross-check him in the back of the neck? Mr. Riley, you know when's a good time to cross-check somebody in the back of their neck? When they knee your captain and take him out for the season. That's when it's a good time.
And it was very obviously intentional.
And then the best part is, after the game, Nylander, I didn't see what happened. Really? Because if you look at the replay, you're looking right at it.
All you had to do was turn around and see Matthews on the ice.
No, but he was looking right at the play, Donnie. He was looking straight. Are you visually impaired?
You know what I thought of?
Is your name Matt Murdoch?
Do you remember in the playoffs in 2022? Was it 2021 against the Canadiens?
Yeah.
And when Tavares took that knee, and he had that bad head injury, and Joe Thornton, even though it was an accident, Joe Thornton dropped his gloves and said, "Let's go."
Yeah. That's what needed to happen. Somebody should have done something. But you know what? As gutless as all four of you on the ice were in that moment, there may have been some good coming from that terrible moment. Because the good is that moment where you showed no spine was the catalyst for the change that's going to happen this summer. That moment got the higher ups in the organization so fed up that I believe led to the firing of Brad Treliving. We'll get to that. But I think that this was the catalyst. So thank you, you gutless cowards, for one good thing that came out of this.
And Austin Matthews, his was it his MCL or ACL was torn? I think it was his MCL.
I think it's the MCL.
MCL was torn. He's out for the season.
He's had
supposedly
surgery.
doing well at this point in his recovery.
He's had surgery and should be back for the start of training camp if he's still a Leaf.
Right.
By the start of training camp.
And we don't know everything. You know, you and I have talked about how this team is going to be stripped down to the studs and building it from the ground up. And it may take a while, again, with the lack of draft picks. But we don't know who's going to be here next year. And I don't even think Nylander and Austin Matthews are off limits.
Yeah, we'll do some speculation in a bit. But yeah, we'll see.
So March 14th, the Leafs lose 3-2 in a shootout against the Sabres.
You know what? There was an effort in this game. I'll give them that.
Goals from Dakota Joshua and Max Domi.
And, you know, the shootout is the shootout. The Leafs are not good in the shootout. But at this
Their
point,
power play's been a little bit better lately, I think.
Yeah, it's been a little better because they're simplifying it, Donnie. That's the thing. Not everything has to be a highlight reel. You know, play of the game. You know, highlight of the night, as it were. Just put it on net. Get rebounds.
But once again, the Leafs only had 18 shots on goal in this game.
This is the big problem: is the lack of shots. I can't comprehend it. You know what? Like, you've got nothing to lose at this point. Just put pucks on net. And if you're going to lose a game for the remainder of the 6 that are left this season, please do it in regulation. We don't need the useless point at this point.
Yeah, and that's been, that's the discussion among Leafs fans right now is you hate to root against your team and at the same time to try to get into the bottom 5 and get that protected pick. That would be very helpful, but it doesn't look like the Leafs have been just bad enough to not get into the bottom 5.
If they keep losing the way they did last against San Jose, it might still be a chance. Yeah.
It's possible, but I think they could lose all of the rest of their games and still not get there.
Right, there's a chance. Look, I just hope if we lose the pick to Boston, that it's not in the top 5. That was anything but the top 5.
That Brandon Carlo trade, I'm baffled.
It doesn't make sense in hindsight because he didn't put us over the top. He wasn't the reason we beat Ottawa. He wasn't the reason we came very close to knocking out Florida. So you gave away a first-round pick and Fraser Minton for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Because I think had we gone into last year's playoffs without Brandon Carlo, we still would have done the exact same thing. The results wouldn't have changed. And this season, Carlo's been borderline terrible.
And for everyone out there saying, if they had just kept Marner, this has been a total collapse, and no one player could have saved themselves or saved this team by themselves.
Irrespective of the fact that Marner had a 5-point night on the same night that the Leafs got eliminated from the playoffs, universe, I get it, you hate me, point taken. However, irrespective of that 5-point night, I just want to point out that since Marner's been in Vegas, this is the first season of their existence that they will finish. When you add up regulation losses and overtime and shootout losses, that they will finish with more losses than wins to end the season. Also, in Marner's first season as a Vegas Golden Knight, the Vegas Golden Knights have fired their coach Bruce Cassidy and brought in John Tortorella. You think Marner's going to have fun with John Tortorella as his coach? He couldn't handle Babcock. He thought Babcock was a SOB, and he was, given what we've learned. But you thought Babcock was bad? Oh, when you are no show in the playoffs, you're gonna have a lot of fun with John Tortorella. Let me tell you. And the only reason Vegas are in a playoff spot right now is because they're in the easiest division in the National Hockey League. Even Connor McDavid made fun of his own division, saying the battle to get into the playoffs is more of a pillow fight because all of the teams friggin' suck. So you know what? If it ends up being Edmonton versus Vegas, it's the one and only time I'll cheer for Edmonton. Whoever plays Vegas, you're gonna have a fan for one round. It'll probably only be one round, but you're gonna have a fan. And I hope that every time Marner touches the puck, whoever your biggest, most physical guy is, runs him into the boards legally, but runs him into the boards. Don't do a Radko Gudas. Nobody wants that. But every time, because listen, the guy's got a kid and a dog that he probably takes better care of the dog than his kids, but that's debatable. We'll never know, nor do I want to know. But just anecdotal evidence, the way he took care of his dog when he was here, he treated the thing like it was God's gift to humanity. So who knows? But I digress. But don't physically injure him like Radko Gudas does. But every time he touches the puck, please, with all the force you could possibly muster, run him into the boards as hard as you can. I want to see Marner go back to the bench and have to be yelled at by John Tortorella like a 5-year-old, and then proceed to cry on the bench like he did so many times here, every time something went wrong. So please, give me that one bit of solace in this leafless playoff that I have to endure watching because I'm a hockey fan and I'll watch it anyway. Just
let's move on to go ahead.
Whoever faces Vegas, you're going to have a temporary fan. I'm not going to buy your jersey, but you're going to have a fan.
On March 15th, the Leafs played the Wild, and they won this game 4-2. They had 3 goals in the second period, 2 by Bo Grew, 1 by Michelli, 1 by Matthew Nyes, and they ended up winning 4-2.
Now, Donnie, the Leafs are, Minnesota is top 3 in your division.
I did not expect this at all.
In one of the top divisions, the toughest divisions in the league. And the Leafs beat them on the road. Donnie, I got to ask a question. Make it make sense.
No, we've seen a couple really good efforts from the Leafs this season. We've seen glimpses of what they could have been.
Make it make sense, though. Against one of the tougher teams, they go and do that. Make it make sense. It doesn't make sense. This team doesn't make sense. They're incapable of making sense. It was a good game. Goalie stood in his head. I think it was Wall.
It was Stolarz.
Sorry. Yeah, Stolarz. We've been getting some good goaltending recently. Mm-hmm. If we would have got that all year, who knows? I think goaltending covered up a lot of our defensive deficiencies last year.
Well, there's been games many games this year that either Stolarz or Wall held them into the game.
Well, especially when you're getting outshot by double and triple.
Yeah. Now we move on. March 17th, the Leafs played the Islanders and lost 3-1. We got assists from Bo Grew and a goal from Steven Lorentz. Not a lot of shots on goal, 4 by Brandon Carlo, which is obviously unusual. 9-12 save percentage from Joseph Wall.
Again, so stopping 91 of the shots. Roughly 91% of the shots that he faced. And the Leafs got outshot again, right?
Mm-hmm, yes.
This is a report. But you know what? I almost every time they play the Islanders, I expect a loss just because, for whatever reason, for the last few years, at least during the John Tavares era, every time we play the Islanders, seems like we can't beat them. So I expected a loss there. Sure enough, the Leafs delivered.
Mm-hmm. And then March the 20th, the Leafs lose 4-3 in overtime to the Carolina Hurricanes.
Ah, yes. This was the game that I wanted to make specific mention. For the fact that, again, yeah, they came back and unfortunately got a useless point thanks to the loss. But if you can, Donnie, can you read me the shots, please?
Oh, the Leafs had 26.
Oh, yeah.
And the Hurricanes had 36.
Okay, so I got out shot by 10.
So again, a significant
but still,
separation.
Now, I remember after this game, because it was the overtime goal, I think it was like less than a minute into overtime.
Yeah, it was very quick.
44 seconds or something thereabouts. Spoiler alert, Morgan Riley was probably on the ice.
And just let me interject. We've also had so many games lately where the Leafs would get a quick goal in the first period, and you think, oh, no, they're going to have a good night tonight. And then immediately they go down 2 or 3 goals.
Oh, yeah. That's par for the course. But anyway, after the game, Craig Berube said this, or a summation of this. We could have used a save from our goalie tonight in that overtime. See, this is where I take issue, because Craig Berube may be a very good coach. He won the Stanley Cup in 2019 or whatever it was. But to put any of the blame for this loss on Joseph Woll, when he faced 36 shots, is asinine. If it wasn't for Joseph Woll, do you think this game even gets to overtime? Here's the answer. Spoiler alert, no! Why don't you blame your defense or your defensive structure, or can you even call what we do defensive structure? That's what's to blame. Not the goalie or goalies.
No, there's been a couple of games where they haven't had great games, but it's both Wall.
But it wasn't that one. But it wasn't that one. It wasn't that one.
No.
And they're tired. You know why they're tired? Because they get double the average other goalies get a night. Mm-hmm. Because we're so defensively deficient.
On this night, we got goals from Dakota Joshua, John Tavares, and William Nylander.
Yeah. You know what? You know what the common denominator is? John Tavares and William Nylander are having great seasons.
Yeah.
That's about it.
William Nylander's defense hasn't always been great, but, I mean, he's the guy who's putting the puck in the net the most lately.
I'd like him to back check a little bit more. But maybe there are certain players, and I'm more speaking about Austin Matthews, that shouldn't be overly thrust into a defensive role. Mm. For example, you think Nikita Kucherov on Tampa Bay plays any defense or kills penalties? Spoiler alert, he doesn't. You think Alex Ovechkin kills penalties or plays against the other team's number one line? Spoiler alert, he doesn't. You know who does play against the other team's number one line and kills penalties? Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
That's, look, I'm not taking the blame off of Matthews because he needs to be better. But that's one of the reasons his goal totals is down, because he's being asked to penalty kill. He's being asked to play against the team's number one line, which requires him to be a better two-way player, and he's done the job, but that's going to take away from some of your offense. So,
and now, you know, we already talked about the injuries that he'd been dealing with before the knee injury.
Yeah. Well, let's get through these games, then we'll talk a little bit about it.
March 21st, I don't even want to talk about this game, but we will. March 21st, a 5-2 loss against the Senators. The Leafs absolutely got bludgeoned in this game. They got outshot 43-14.
Again, how you can say anything against our goalies when that's the shot count? Don't even talk. Don't even open. If your criticism is about the goalies, don't open your mouth.
And once again, the goals came from Easton Cowan and John Tavares.
I got to tell you something about Easton Cowan. He's taken this opportunity to play on the top line and made the most of it. Look, he gives the puck away. I don't think he's played enough this year. He gives the puck away sometimes, but he's 20. Those mistakes are going to happen. I'll let him make those mistakes if he can grow into a top line player. I much rather am more forgiving when a 20-year-old makes the mistakes as opposed to 31-year-old, 13-year career man Morgan Riley. I don't like those mistakes, but I'll accept them from a 20-year-old.
And I forget which game it was. Might have been that one where Riley tripped over Carlo and just gave
Riley trips over his own people every game.
Oh my gosh! But
this guy's married to a top tier Canadian figure skater. If we have to keep him next season, can she teach him how to skate? Please? Him and your kid, take them on Nathan Phillips Square and let them skate. Teach him how to skate, please. I'll pay you. Well, I won't, but the Leafs should.
I was going to say, you got that kind of money?
No, but the Leafs should.
March 24th, the Leafs actually had a pretty good game. They won 4-2 against the Bruins.
Okay, again, let me...
2 goals by Matthew Nyes, 1 by Max Domi, and 1 by William Nylander.
Right. That was one of the best Leaf games of the season. And, shockingly, Donnie, wait a minute, I'm glad you're sitting down. We outshot the Boston Bruins. Right?
Yeah, 34-20.
Right. See how that works, Donnie?
Yeah.
You see what happens when you all work and don't shoot?
Yeah, when you're active and you actually go to the net. Wow.
Hey, imagine? What a concept, eh? Holy, has anybody told Greg Berube this? Is this a revelation that we're all experiencing on this podcast, or has this been, the known fact since hockey was created? I don't know. Maybe something to investigate for next season.
Well, I don't think Berube's going to be here next season.
No, but whoever's there, we'll talk about it. But whoever's there, look into that. Maybe keep this game as a bulletin board. Hey, watch this. This is how you should do it. Stolarz was fantastic. Loved seeing Nyes have a good game, really good game. And you know what? We kind of stalled the Bruins' progress a little bit. And anytime you can beat the Bruins,
yeah,
it puts a little smile on my face. Not a big one because of the season we've had, but a little smile. Tiny. It's there. So
March 25th, the Leafs 4-3 victors over the New York Rangers. Goals by Dakota Joshua, Jake McCabe, John Tavares, and Nick Robertson.
Okay. So,
who's another player, I think, that has not played enough and should be on the team next year.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some of those guys in a second. But beating the New York Rangers is not something they should be overly proud of, because the New York Rangers are below us in the standings. You should beat the New York Rangers. Congratulations. You still got outshot.
Grossly, 43-18. I don't know how we won this game.
Can I tell you how we won this game? Joseph Wall made 40 saves. There. Problem solved. There you go.
I mean, when you get doubled up and then some, I mean, I don't know what the percentage is for hockey teams in the NHL when you get doubled up, how often you win.
Yeah, it's not good. I don't know what it is, but it's not good. But they won that game. By fluke. But they should have won that game, because it's the Rangers. And the Rangers are worse than we are, somehow.
March 28th, they got curb stomped by the Blues 5-1.
So I take two things away from this.
Jake McCabe with the sole goal in that game.
Jake McCabe has been one of our most consistent, better defensemen all year. Nice to see him get some goals.
The Leafs only had 13 shots on goal in this game. It was pathetic.
Yeah. So here's what I'm going to say about this game. Two things stick out. Sadly, Joseph Wall is never going to get a win in his hometown because his team is so incompetent. And neither is Craig Berube against his former team. At least as a coach of the Leafs. But I don't care because Berube doesn't deserve to win against his former team as the coach of the Leafs. Joseph Wall deserves a win against his former team, but that's another issue. But it won't happen because his team is defensively deficient. And
So
again, a wonderful cosplay by Joseph Wall. Again, as Tom Hanks in the movie Castaway. Well done. He should win an award for that cosplay.
March the 30th, once again, the Leafs met the Ducks, this time in Anaheim. And before anything started, Max Domi let Radko Gudas know what you did was not acceptable. And he took it to Gudas. I mean, he was fist and fire.
Yeah.
Before anyone touched the puck.
Domi reminded me of his father in that game.
The Leafs won this one 5-4 in overtime.
Okay, so I want to say a couple things.
2 goals by John Tavares.
Yes, and 1 by Morgan Riley. And when you get scored on by Morgan Riley, Anaheim Ducks, you should be ashamed of yourself. And you're a Mickey Mouse organization, figuratively and literally. But I digress. Anyway, had the Leafs played with any of the passion, grit, and heart that they'd played with in this game for most of the entire season, Donnie, you know what would be happening right now?
We'd be
getting
ready
ready
for
for the playoffs. Yeah. Where was this in October, November, December, when it mattered? I get it. You had to stick up for your captain. Finally. Took you 2 weeks, but congratulations. Finally. But again, can anybody who's left on this team, from this current team, going into next season, can you remember this game and channel it at the start of the season for next year, please? Save the tape of this game and play it next year.
There were quite a few fights. I mean, the Leafs, they really showed a lot of heart in this game and a lot of anger.
This was the Wizard of Oz game because suddenly they had heart and they had courage. You know, what was the cowardly lion that you gave him the courage, and the Tin Man to give him the heart.
Right.
And so whoever the wizard was in the dressing room that night, bring him back. I don't know who it was, who you can attribute to, but it wasn't Berube. I'll tell you that much.
I like to watch that movie and the scene with the Emerald City and pretend like it's Oa, but that's a different podcast. Anyway.
Yeah, different. But I figured that would be. I figured that's the part of the movie you like, the Emerald City. Shocking.
So Thursday, April the 2nd, the Leafs got curb stomped again. This time by the Sharks, 4-1. This is one of the few times I can say that I don't think Stolarz had a great game. There was a couple of these goals. It was him one-on-one with the shooter, and he just didn't get it.
He didn't have a good game, but the only player that had a good game was John Tavares.
Yeah, Tavares is the only one who really looked like he was playing hard this game. So
and you know what the Leafs were missing in this game? Batman's shark repellent from 1966. And that's the only thing I want to say about this game. So, we've covered all the games. Most of them were crappy. There were a couple of decent ones in there. Now,
the Leafs currently stand at 32, 31, and 13. Obviously not a good record. So
right. Okay, they're 24th in the NHL currently, I think, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, so, a couple of things. I thought the Leafs trade deadline was massively disappointing.
There was a little movement, but not enough. They definitely don't have...
There was movement. They got rid of the 3 people that we figured they would because of expiring contracts and probability of not re-signing them. The best trade they made was the one for Nick Waugh, where they got basically a first-round pick in either 27 or 28, or 2000. It's either 2027 or 2028, depending on where Colorado finishes. It'll probably be 2027 because there's no way Colorado is going to do what we did and finish at the bottom of the barrel next year. And I believe the first round pick is top 10 protected because Colorado's smart and has a competent GM named Joe Sakic who decided, you know what, let me protect our draft pick to top 10. Unlike Dum Brad Treliving, who when he gave Boston the pick for Carlos, said, you know what, it's okay, we'll only protect the top 5.
The Avalanche they got a shot at the Cup this year.
Right. No, but next year I'm saying, no matter what happens with the Avalanche, I doubt they're going to have a fall from grace like we did and finish at the bottom of the league, bottom 10 of the league. So I think we're going to get that pick next year, right? But so we got a first and a fifth for Nick Waugh, I believe was the trade. That was the best trade. I'll tell you why. Because basically what it means is, because remember we traded Mitch Marner for Nick Waugh in the last-ditch effort to get a last-ditch effort to get something for little bitch Mitch, and so essentially we traded Mitch Marner for a first-round pick and a fifth-round pick in 2027. Better than nothing. Yeah. Now, the rest of the other two trades. A third-round pick that has the potential to become a second-round pick this year for Scott Lund if the LA Kings make the playoffs is disgusting, and I'll tell you why. It's disgusting because to get Scott Lund, you know what we had to trade? Nikita Grabenkin and a first-round pick. So guess what? We lost the Scott Lund trade.
Mm-hmm. And Scott Laughton's the kind of player that, people are looking for depth this time of year. Going into the playoffs, I thought we, would get a lot more for him.
And then, and even worse, Bobby McMahon to Seattle.
Who, my goodness, has he gone on a heater?
But Donnie, Bobby McMahon for 2 second-round picks.
I mean, if there is a case study on a guy that it matters the system that he plays in, it's Bobby McMahon.
Wait a minute, Donnie, because he can't stop scoring in Seattle. Yeah. Now, are you telling me that maybe the dump and chase strategy just doesn't work with this team?
Obviously.
Could that be? I mean, I don't want to pull up Mr. Perfect and pat myself on the back, but the last couple of Leaf podcasts we've done, in the midst of my yelling, Donnie, have I not said this team just can't do the dump and chase? Mm-hmm. Have I not said that? Oh, they've been taking dumps on the ice. Not the ones we want, but they've been taking dumps all year. Yeah. Now, so that was our disastrous trade deadline. But 40 minutes ahead of the Anaheim game, the Leafs fired Brad Treliving. Mm-hmm. And that was the best thing to happen to this team the entire season. Because based on the trade deadline and his work in the offseason last summer that assembled this shit show of a team, I had no faith in Brad Treliving as the GM leading either a retool or a rebuild, whichever it's going to be. So I'm glad he was fired. I'm sure he'll find another job. I'm sure he's getting well paid. He still had a year left on his deal, so we're still paying him. So I'm not sad for Brad Treliving. He's getting a nice paycheck. And at the end of the day, Donnie, his daddy owns all the Boston pizza chains. So guess what? He doesn't need no money. Now, and if all else fails, if he never gets a job in the NHL again, I look forward to him serving me wings at a Boston Pizza one day, where I can really tell him what a shit job he did as the Leaf GM. Anyway, so he's fired. I have a question, Donnie. and you probably can't answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway, because the upper brass of the Leafs is not here for me to ask.
Okay.
And I have no way of contacting them to get them to answer me this question. Why did you wait till after the trade deadline to fire Brad Treliving? Everybody with a brain knew this had to happen, right? Oh, now which was the Wizard of Oz character that didn't have a brain? Because that's where we are now.
Has it not been a pattern for the Leafs over the last few years to just wait and wait and wait?
Yeah, but why? But here's the thing, Donnie. Like, here's what I would have done. Everybody knew this. Everybody with a brain knew this was coming, right? Going into the Olympic break is when Brad Treliving should have been fired, because that would have given whoever you brought in a month to prepare for the trade deadline and start making the right moves. That would have been the smart move to do, but oh no, the Leafs had to wait 40 minutes before game 75, 76, whatever the hell number game we're on now. I lost count because none of them matter anymore. Why did you wait so long? What for? What hold? Like, did Brad Treliving have incriminating photographs of upper management that kept him in the job this long? Like, what was it? Can't be performance based, because what performance? All he's done is turn a first-rate place team last year into shark shit, apropos of last game. So, anyway, a little too late, but they fired him. Now, then came the press conference from CEO Keith Pelly of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, who I think it was last episode or the episode before, and this will date our ages a bit, but I compared him to the male version of Solly Jesse Raphael, because he runs both. He basically runs the Leafs, the Raptors, and Toronto FC, the MLS soccer team. Mm-hmm. And every time he does a press conference, his glasses are the same color as the team that he's doing the press conference for. And if you remember Solly Jesse Raphael, Donnie, every talk show she did, she had different colored glasses. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
So that's why I call him Solly Jesse Raphael, for anybody that doesn't know the reference. There it is. But he came out, Donnie, and he gave out, I don't know if you saw the press conference, but
yes, I did.
All I wanted to know, here's all I wanted. I just wanted a direction. Give me a hint. Obviously, you can't tell me exactly who you're going to hire or what players that guy is going to go get, because you're not a fortune teller. You don't have a crystal ball. You know, I understand you can't give me those specifics, but give me a direction. Give Leaf fans a direction. Is it a rebuild? Is it a retool?
Well, that's what you and I were talking about the other night. That's all fans want is hope.
Yeah,
a hope for next season, or maybe even the next season.
You know what we got? So they want a guy who's good with analytics. Okay. They want a guy. He's talking about pillars, and he's talking about structure, and he's talking about a vision, and he's talking about all this bullshit that sounds like he's reading off a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
What structure?
It was paint by numbers, and
but,
it was.
But Donnie,
disinteresting.
He's saying the structure didn't work. Okay, and you didn't know that in December? Like, it wasn't paint. I could have told you something wasn't working.
What's run through my head all season long is that this team is too old and they're too slow.
Yeah, but again, that's just watching the product. And has Keith Pelly watched the product? Yep. Because he's talking about spreadsheets, analytics, AI, CGI. Give me whatever initial you want. He's talking about everything but nuts and bolts of hockey. And he's talking, fans have voiced their displeasure at the arena. I've talked to the fan. You haven't talked to any fan. I'll tell you why. Because if you had talked to a fan, they would have picked up stones and started throwing them at you to run you out of the building. You haven't talked to any fan. Yeah. Don't give me the bullshit you've talked to fans. You haven't talked to fans. From where? The box that you sit in the arena? That is closed off to fans because they cost $4,000? What fan have you talked to? But here's the thing. Like, you know, he said we have foundational pieces, and he doesn't think it's going to be a rebuild. It's going to be a retool. But he's open to anything depending on who he hires. So if the guy he hires comes in and says, I want to do a rebuild, you're open to a rebuild then.
I don't know.
So
I
still,
think my gut reaction says rebuild. I don't think there's enough pieces here, especially with.
Here are the pieces.
Go ahead. Who do you think is going to be on the team?
I'm gonna tell you the foundational pieces he's talking about. He's talking about two people. Nylander.
Yes.
And Matthews. Those are the foundational pieces. If you're not,
I would have said Nyes until there were rumors that they were in trade talks
the
about
way
him.
he's talking about the impact players that would keep them in the playoff hunt.
Sure.
So those are Matthews and Nylander. So if they're staying, it makes sense to do a retool as opposed to a rebuild because Matthews isn't going to sit here for a rebuild. But okay, so let's assume they do the retool route, right? That means Matthews, Nylander, Tavares, Nyes, McCabe, Ekman-Larsson should all still be here. Then, because again, it doesn't seem to me like there are a lot of impact free agents that are out there that are going to be good enough to springboard your team into a playoff spot next season.
Yeah, definitely not expecting miracles next season.
That doesn't mean it's impossible to get back into the play. I think it's doable, Donnie, right? Because we've seen Boston do it, and they traded away a lot of their key pieces, right?
Yeah, we need a lot of D-line help.
So what's one way you can? What's one way you can supplement? You know, the lack of draft picks and quality free agent available. How you do that is signing, you know, players from straight out of college, and the Leafs have done some of that.
Yes, they have.
So I want to talk about some of those players because if you're going to do a retool, you got to give some of these guys a chance. So here's some of the people that they've signed: a forward, Vincent Borghese, who's currently playing with the Marlies. He's on a tryout right now with the Marlies, and the reason why they call it a tryout is so that they don't the entry level contract doesn't kick in until next year. So it's just an in name only kind of title. So I like this signing because of two reasons. He's a big guy. He was able to score some goals and pick up some points in college, right, at the NCAA level, and his name is Vincent Borghese, which means he's of Italian descent, and he goes by the name of Vinny, Donnie.
Right.
So if he plays well, right? Let's say he steps into the Leaf lineup, right, and he plays well. You know what his nickname is going to be from me? My cousin Vinny. And if he plays bad and he's up with the Leafs, you know what I'm going to tell Vinny? I'm going to tell Vinny to vafangulo, just like I do any other Leaf. So, on the face of it, and based off his early stats, I like that. Then they went out and signed a defenseman, because God knows we could use a bunch of those.
Yeah.
And so that defenseman was, let me get his name here. Sorry, the D was Borghese. He was the D man. But he's a good. He's a puck-moving defenseman. He's supposedly very good with getting out of his own zone, and he was the captain of his college team. So, excuse my mix-up. He's a defenseman. Then they signed a forward, Brandon Burr, to a one-year deal, who is playing again, with the Martys on a trial basis. I like everything I've heard from him. He said he chose Toronto. Get this, Donnie. Alert Mitch Marner because this is important. He chose the Leafs because of the fan base and the hockey market. You mean this kid wants to play under pressure? Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Because Mitch Marner shits his diaper every time he stepped on the ice in Toronto, according to himself. So, I don't know. What's wrong with this kid that he wants to play in the pressure cooker of Toronto, Donnie? I don't know, but I like the willingness to put himself, in the heat of the spotlight. But signing college free agents is a way to replenish and fill the roster.
Yeah, and that's something that they desperately need. Like I said, they need to get younger.
And remember, yeah, these guys are 21 and 22 respectively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And remember, Donnie, when you started watching the Leafs, they had a college signing straight out of college by the name of Tyler Bozak.
Mm-hmm.
He was pretty good for the Leafs. No, he wasn't. Let's not over pump his tires. He wasn't Austin Matthews. He wasn't William Nylander, but he was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And if my memory serves, I think he won a cup in St. Louis. I think he was on that team. I could be wrong, but I could be wrong there. But if my memory serves, he might have been on that team. But so they've signed these two young free agents or college players. This team desperately needs to get younger. And look, I haven't seen Borghese play yet because unfortunately I have to buy a special package.
It's not always easy to find
to watch the Martys play, which pisses me off because given the market Toronto is and given the fact that they're the Leafs minor league affiliate, if you put them on regular TV, you know what would happen? People would watch. You know why they would watch? Because Toronto fans love hockey. And the Martys are actually in the playoff hunt. That's why we would watch. But anyway, but I will say this about Vinny Borghese, the defenseman. Just his picture that the Leafs released is better than Morgan Riley. But again, it's great to sign these guys, Donnie, but here's the key. To know what you have,
you got to play them.
You have to play them at the NHL level. So next year, at least start them in our opening night roster. What's the harm?
Yeah.
What, another losing season? I mean, is there a guarantee that won't happen anyway?
No, I mean, I definitely am not going to have the same high hopes going into next year that I had this year.
Boston's got a couple of college free agents currently playing on their roster. They're battling for a playoff spot. San Jose signed a couple guys out of college last year. One of them is playing on their roster, and they're in the mix for a playoff spot. I don't know. Maybe the Leafs should try it.
Yeah.
So, and there's rumors that they're in on another one. I don't want to mention it yet because he hasn't signed here. But he's a really, really good... He's one of the ones that can guarantee step into your lineup next year and make an impact.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently one of three teams are after him. The Leafs, Edmonton, and Montreal. First of all, Edmonton's got McDavid. They don't need one of these guys. So they can just sit down and shut up and get out of the running. The other team, Montreal, screw Montreal. That's number one. Number two, this kid's from Hamilton, Ontario. It would be sacrilege if you don't choose the Leafs, young man. Sacrilege. Come, choose us. Berube will be gone by then. You'll get lots of playing time. Believe me, just sign here. So you asked me who I think is going to be on the team next year, Donnie. I still, again, assuming it's a retool, I think it'll be Nylander. I'll say Matthews is 70-30 for coming back right now. And then, like I said, I think McCabe will be here. I think Ekman Larson will be here. I think Nyes is going to stay. I think obviously Cowan is going to be here.
And you and I both like Robertson.
I hope Robertson is back. What I would do is build around, if you're going to do a rebuild, the three people you should build around are Nyes, Cowan, and Robertson.
Yeah.
Those are your three pieces. And then some of these young college guys you bring in. That's who you build around. This team needs to get younger. They're too old. They're too slow. I sound like Roman Reigns talking about CM Punk. But that's essentially the Leaf team. They were too slow and too old.
And as the season has gone on, it's become more evident. They've worn out.
And on top of that, Donnie, we've signed, we signed, I can't pronounce his name, I'm going to butcher it, Arthur Akhtamov, the goalie from the Marlies.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have 4 goalies under contract. Wall, Stolars, Hildeby, and Akhtamov.
And that's made me wonder if either Stolars or Wall is going to get traded.
So one of two things is going to happen. Okay, one of three things, because one is facetious. I'm using big words again. But what the hell? Why not? These words are too big for Brad Treliving. He's not here anymore, so it doesn't matter. One option is the humorous option, which is to improve our defense. Here's what the Leafs should do. Call up all 4 goalies and put them in front of the net at the same time. That should decrease our goals against. Option 2 is Stolars and Wall play in the NHL. Hildeby and Akhtamov play in the AHL. Or, option 3, whoever the new GM is makes a choice between Wall and Stolars and then trades the other one. And then brings up Hildeby as our backup goalie, and Akhtamov gets experience playing a full year as the number 1 guy with the Marlies. I think that option is more likely. Mm-hmm. Which one you trade? I don't know. Because Stolars was phenomenal last year.
And he started off this year very well, too.
And Donnie, I'm willing to say that if Stolars didn't get elbowed in the head by Sam Bennett, which got no supplementary discipline, by the way, if anybody cares to remember. Because this league is a joke when it comes to supplementary discipline. But had Stolars not been elbowed in the head, I think the Leafs would have beaten the Florida Panthers last season. Now, I'm not saying the loss of the series was Wall's fault. I'm just saying, what I see, Donnie, even this year in this shit show of a season, the Leafs, and again, this season especially is put an asterisk beside it, a big asterisk. But the Leafs played better, more defensively sound. Again, whatever that means with this iteration of the Leafs, in front of Anthony Stolars than they do Wall. So that might lean to me keeping Stolars. So Joseph Wall is signed for, he signed a 3-year deal that began this year. It's a cap hit of $10.98 million over the course of the 3 seasons. So he's going to be done, he signed a contract that began this year that is going to be done in the 27-28 after the 27-28 season. Stolarz is a 4-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
So do they stick with Stolarz because of that, and because he's the more experienced of it? Like, if you're going to have somebody mentor Hildeby, does it make sense to go with the more experienced guy? Is my question. But I can't imagine them carrying all 4 of those guys. You know, the 2 for the Leafs.
Nah, definitely not. Especially when there are needs in so many other areas.
Right. And if you look at the fact that, Donnie, next year, if they were to bring up Hildeby, if they were to send him back down, he would have to clear waivers. And he's not clearing waivers. Some other team would claim him.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I think a trade is likely. So 2 other questions I want to ask you, Donnie, before we wrap this up.
Okay.
What's your take on whether Matthews will be here at the start of next season? Like, what's your percentage?
I think actually the injury raised the percentage of him being here, because obviously there's going to be some questions about his health now, and his trade value is not going to be as high as it was prior to the injury. So I think there's going to be at least a proving year to see how well he plays, because he already had some questions about the velocity of his shot beforehand.
Now, if the new GM comes in and says this is a full rebuild, then he's gone.
Yeah, it could be. Sure. I don't think anybody's off limits, not even he or Nylander.
Because I don't think Matthews wants to stay for a rebuild. Because the intention of the retool is to get back to the playoffs next year. Which, that would be the hope, because I cannot take another season of this.
Yeah.
You know, so, and then the other thing, I think we're both in agreement on this, but it's pretty safe to say Craig Berube will not be the coach.
Oh, I don't think there's any chance that they keep Berube. No. He's
the only chance.
Nobody's saying he's a bad coach. Obviously, he's a cup-winning coach, but he's lost the room.
The only way I see him coming back is if the Leafs hire Doug Armstrong from St. Louis as their GM, because he was the GM when Berube won the cup in St. Louis. That's the only shot in hell, in my opinion. That's the only chance in hell, to quote the Vince McMahon theme song, that Berube has of coming back to the Leafs. Otherwise,
yeah. Whether it's a rebuild or retool, I think you've got to start. You got to change the culture, and I don't think that this team is built to play his style of hockey.
Right. They need to get younger. So I hope that they do sign this other. I think his name is T.J. Hughes. I'm not 100% sure. I do hope they land this other college free agent, because I think that would be a massive win. And getting a kid from Ontario. Let me rephrase. We need to get a kid from Ontario whose testicles have dropped and he's not afraid of the pressure in Toronto. That's what we need. Because the one we had the plane wheels still retracted in place. And in case you're wondering, I'll talk about Mitch Marner. Okay? When he was born, they never dropped. I haven't seen them, but I'm convinced of that fact. And you can't convince me otherwise. All right? So all you 15-year-old girls that say, well, if the Leafs only had Mitch Marner, go watch Taylor Swift. Go play with a Barbie or a G.I. Joe, whatever you like. But don't talk to me about hockey if that's your comment. So that's my message to you, Marnerites. So, but I hope they land this kid. I really, really do. But they need to get younger, and if if the free agents aren't there because there's just not that many this season, and I'm talking impact people. I'm not talking fringe people. We're going to need some of those fringe free agents to fill out the roster, but I'm talking impact free agents. Like, you're not going to get a superstar. Like, you're going to have to make a trade. Now, the trade, I beg the Leafs. In terms of trades, I beg the Leafs, we need to get rid of Morgan Riley.
Oh, yes. I mean, you and I have talked about that at length. We
cannot go another 4 years of this. Because if he's declining now, imagine year 4, what it's going to look like. So they need to trade. Now look, what it involves is sitting down with Morgan and saying, look, a change of scenery would be good for you, and we need to move on from you. Tell us where, because you got to know move, so tell us where you want to go. And we'll trade you there. It might impact what we get back, Donnie, but at this point, I don't care. We just need space. We need the position. Also, we need the cap space. So even if we have to buy him out and eat some of his even if buying him out is the only option, and we get nothing back, and we have to pay him $3 million a year for the next 4 years just to buy him out, that still saves us $4 million towards the cap, because his contract is $7 million a year. Mm-hmm. So we'd still save $4 million.
Yeah, you win. You win in the end there.
That's better than having him on the roster, because you can get somebody pretty decent for $4 million a year. So it has to be done. I cannot. If Morgan Riley, Donnie, is announced opening night at the home opener, mm-hmm. I may physically be sick. Like, it cannot. You know those green jerseys that they wear for St. Patrick's Day?
Yeah. I like
not
those.
the white ones, the green one, the ones they wear in practice, the all green.
Yeah,
that's what you're going to see on the floor coming out of my mouth if Morgan Riley is announced as the opening night, on the opening night roster. It just can't happen, Don. It can't happen. It can't. John Tavares will be here because he should be brought back.
Well, yeah, he's on his last contract. I don't think we'd get very much trade value for him. Plus, I mean, his contributions go beyond just his ability as a hockey player. He can motivate people, be a leader.
And even in a rebuild, you need some. Like, if you do a full rebuild, you need some veteran, some veteran ambassadors to guide the youth through. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think Oliver Ekman-Larsson will be good. McCabe would be good for that. Tavares would be good for that. So you'd have them there. But at this point, Donnie, I need the offseason to hurry up and get here.
Yeah, it's depressing to watch them right now.
Like, I just need this 6 games needs to end. Like, I'll watch because, again, folks, There's that song from the 2016 Suicide Squad movie that perfectly describes why I'm watching the remainder of this 6-game season. Because I'm a sucker for pain. That's why I'm watching it. That's the anthem of this season for the Leafs. And so it just needs to hurry up and end. The Leafs need to hire a GM. I'd actually like them to hire a president and then a GM. Mm-hmm. Because there needs to be some oversight here. Some guy to formulate a grand plan. And it's not Keith Pelly, because he's talking about spreadsheets. And the whole time he was talking about spreadsheets, I wanted to rip the arms off of his glasses. Shine them up real nice. Turn them sideways and stick them somewhere. And they weren't on the bench of the Leafs. For anybody that's wondering knows where I want to put them. I had one reserved for Pelly and one reserved for Berube. And they were going to go somewhere very special, where the sun don't shine. But I don't need spreadsheet man with multicolored glasses for every occasion creating the hockey plan. You need a hockey man for that.
Yeah.
So I'd like them to hire a president and then a general manager. And listen, I don't care if the general manager is a veteran who's been around the block or a young guy with fresh ideas. Just, please, fix this. This is the Toronto Maple Leafs. I understand that we haven't won jack shit since 1967. I get it.
6-7.
Believe me. Believe me, the kids with this stupid nonsense. There's only one motion I want to see doing this, and it's too non-PG not to say on this podcast, so I won't say it. But Donnie can imagine what I'm talking about, because he probably has visions of doing that too. He was young once, he knows, and he's married, so things still happen. But I know they haven't won anything since that year, but they're still a storied franchise. There needs to be respectability. And this year was not, there's nothing respectable about what happened this year.
Yeah.
This was we're the joke of the NHL again. It's not fun. This is not fun.
And it would be a lot easier had the last 10 years, we're told, well, you made the playoffs for 9 years, but no cups.
We've made it to the second round.
And that's
it.
That's it. I mean, so it's not easy to stomach.
Look. I think you can attest to this, Donnie, being a fan of this team for over, what is it, since 2013? You've been a fan since 2013?
The very beginning of 2014, 12 years.
So you've been a fan for 12 years. You can attest to this, even though you don't live in Toronto. I think you and I can both agree that Toronto fans will accept the wins and accept the losses, as long as you lay it out straight for us as a management team, and then the players on the ice put forth their best effort night in and night out.
Yeah.
I think Leaf fans will be happy with that, win or lose. Get that kind of culture back in this team. Hire the people that can get that done. Put players in place that can achieve that.
Yep. Change the culture.
The mandate is to get younger. You have to.
Yeah.
The teams that are winning, Colorado is a beast all itself. So we won't. By the way, they're my pick to win the cup this year. Please, anybody but Edmonton, Buffalo, or Montreal. Please, anybody but those three teams. I don't care. The only thing I want to see from those three teams is for them to lose the first round or fall through the ice, whichever comes first. I don't care. but anybody but those three teams. But Colorado's my team too, and Vegas. Screw Vegas. For as long as they employ Mitch Marner, screw Vegas. But Colorado's my pick to win the cup.
Yeah, like I said, that's understandable.
I'll be hopping on that temporarily on that bandwagon full time for the playoffs. And whoever plays Vegas, you have a fan for 2 weeks, or a week and a half, or preferably 4 games if you sweep them. That's my preference. Because again, Mitch Marner's tears make me happy. In case anybody was wondering. But so, youth is the name of the game. They need to get younger. If that's a mix of college guys, Marlies, and free agents or trades, get it done. Because they were too old, too slow, and in this case, in the hockey terminology, bigger was not better.
Yeah.
Because that physicality did not manifest until their captain got kneed, and then it took 2 weeks after that to manifest. Can you imagine if these guys were Green Lanterns? They would get the ring and be useless for about a month. What do? We have no willpower. We just go into the ice and get slaughtered. So, it's time for a change. Enough is enough. And I sound like, what was it? The Nation?
Owen Hart's team, yeah.
Well, yeah. Was it? Yeah, Owen Hart. Enough is enough, and it's time for a change. And so, let's start the process. I can't wait for this misery to be over. Donnie and I are going to come back. There's going to be some Leaf podcasts this summer, for sure. When the new guy gets hired, or new people get hired, GM, coach, president, whatever, all three, preferably, Donnie and I are going to come on and talk about it.
Yeah, we'll definitely cover that.
Also, we're going to cover the draft, because maybe fortune will smile on us. Probably not. But maybe fortune will smile, and we'll win. Can you imagine the Leafs win the draft lottery, Donnie? Could you imagine? Listen, we need it. We deserve it. I'm sorry. Leaf fans, for the suffering we've endured this year, listen, we deserve it. And look, I know I made a blasphemous comment before about going to hell. That's probably going to lead me to go to hell. But on the off chance, Donnie, you'll make it there. I might. For me, it's a toss-up. But on the off chance I make it to heaven, not because I think of myself as some upstanding, overly moral, righteous human being. Not for that. But I should have an automatic spot in heaven. Like, I'm not some, scholar on what happens in the afterlife. I have no idea. But let's pretend for a second that it happens where you die, and there's the whole scene where you float up into the air, and there's the big pearly gates, right? When St. Peter or whoever the heck is manning the gates up there, when they get to me, it should not be a question of what did you do right, what did you do wrong. They should look at me, okay? And they should say, "Oh, excuse me, sir, what was your name?" And I tell them my name, and they look at the book. "Oh, you were a Leaf fan? Excuse me, sir, you can bypass the line. We're sorry for everything you went through. Come right here." And then you know what I want? I want my own cloud. Because I don't want, first of all, I want to go see all my relatives, my grandparents, and my friend Dave. I want to go have a nice long conversation, and I want to hug them all. And then I want, because by then she'll be up there too, or maybe she won't be, whatever, but this is my request. I want 3 of my multiverse wives. Megan Fox, Margot Robbie, and Alexa Bliss, all there. I want them to usher me off to my own cloud. And on my cloud is in the shape of the 1989 Batmobile, Donnie. And all 4 of us can sit in there. And maybe 2 of them on my lap, or 3 of them on my lap, and 1 of them in the seat next to me. And then, we can take turns of which one ends up on my lap, which ones end up in the seat. And then, we're watching in perpetuity for the rest of eternity. We're watching the Leafs win a Stanley Cup in modern times, in color, with a big screen TV the size of an IMAX movie screen. That's what I deserve. Again, not because I've done anything good in my life, but simply because I'm a Leaf fan.
Yeah.
And that's what you deserve. Whatever iteration of your heavenly dream is, you deserve that. And all Leaf fans deserve that. Because this has been torture. And the years that we've endured have been torture. So that's what my wish for myself and for every single Leaf fan is. Okay? So that's what it boils down to. So that's how we're going to wrap it up, on a positive afterlife note. Donnie, where can people find you?
You can find me on TikTok or YouTube or Blue Sky as the Emerald Enthusiast. Let's talk comics. Let's talk collectibles. Let's talk the Maple Leafs. You can find me at Adam_LeafsFan on Twitter. I'm on Blue Sky. We have a Facebook group. All kinds of things. I'll be listing the link below. In the description below, I'll put a link and all that kind of good stuff. But until next time, despite this horrific season,
Toronto Maple Leafs are forever. From the first time they fired their GM and retooled to the last. So long, everybody.
So long, everyone.
Go Leafs, go. Next season.